Changing minds one thought at a time.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Changing Minds Online Sunday Night Inspiration Call. Good evening, Akina. How you doing tonight?
I am great. How about you, Jessica?
I'm doing awesome. You know, this weekend I had taken a weekend away. Many of us don't always take time for ourselves, but I took a weekend for myself this weekend. I had my phone turned off, and I went on a ski trip with my cousin, and I'm on my way back home. I am almost at my house. I pulled over so we can do our podcast, and I'm really excited to share tonight a little bit about what I learned this weekend and in my reflection and in my experiences, and, I hope that you guys can benefit from it. So tonight we're going to be talking a bit about being true to yourself. Now, when Akina and I originally planned this call, we intended to talk about following your heart and about not living into other people's expectations for your life. But because I had an experience this weekend I wanted to share, we're going to take it at a little bit of a different angle tonight. Tonight we're going to really talk about how we define ourselves and really being true to who we are authentically, and as opposed to the labels that we create about ourselves that really don't hold up and really aren't true. So I want to share with you guys a little story about my weekend in the ski slopes. So this was my second time ever skiing in my entire life. Last year was my first time. And as a kid, my mother had always told me that if I skied, I would run into a tree and bad things would happen. And so I never skied as a kid. And, last year I loved it. It was really exciting. It took a lot of courage, but I had got on the slopes. I went all the way to the top of the mountain. I had got down on the beginner courses. And this year I wanted to do it again. And I'll admit that this year, a year later, it was a little bit more scary for me. I feel like, the older I get, Akina, I'm sure you can relate to this, the older we get, the more sense we have, I guess, do you want to say it that way, or the more afraid we are to do new, daring things, especially things that are adventurous and outside of our comfort zone. Akina, do you relate to that at all?
Oh, yes, most definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah.
I used to be a lot more adventurous, but now I tend to think about it a little bit more.
Absolutely. I was just talking about someone today, and you said, all those things that you did in your early 20s. I said, I'm so glad I did them. I don't think I would ever do them again. But, they were fun. So, tonight I wanted to share with you a little bit about what happened with me. So I went on this ski slope, and I was doing really well. I was going up and down, and I was going on this one lift. And then my cousin had encouraged me to go to the top of the mountain. Now, she assured me that this wouldn't be any harder than the other shorter run. It would just be longer, that I was still going to stay on the same level path and everything was going to be fine. So we did it. We went to the top of the mountain, and we started to go down. Now, everything was going well. I had not fallen. I was in control. I was going very slowly. For anyone who skis, it's probably was a little bit slower than most people ski. But I was making my way down the mountain, and then all of a sudden, I got to this hill. And the hill looked just too big to me. And so, and it's hard for me to even say this because I keep this persona of this really tough, strong woman. But I decided that there was just no way I was doing this hill, that I was just going to check out. So I decided to sit my butt right on the snow and look at the hill. Now, obviously, there was really only one way up the mountain, and that was going to be down the hill. But in my mind, I saw this big obstacle, and I was terrified to go down this hill. And I started to really think about, well, why am I afraid, and what's going on? And my cousin was there, and she was telling me, you've been doing this all day, and just keep going, just keep going. Now, to me, it was harder. It was scarier. It was bigger. And the reason why I had felt that was because, I didn't feel that I was capable of it. So for me, and I share often that I have some neurological issues, nerve issues, and I'm currently experiencing an issue where sometimes that I lose muscle and feeling in my foot. And so I was scared. Now, it wasn't actually true to the sense that today I was feeling fine and I had no issues going on, but in my mind, I was afraid of what would happen if I was trying to go down this hill and I needed to do these turns and I lost feeling in my foot. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, my foot's fine. I'm fine. And I was thinking about what labels that I was creating for myself. So rather than, I'm strong and I am healthy and I've done this before and I'm capable of doing it, I started to create these other labels that I'm not able to do this. I have medical issues. I'm not healthy. This is not good for me. And I started to create those labels. But those labels weren't actually true. They were based on fear and were based on lies that I was creating for myself. So when I really got connected to that, and it wasn't really a long time I was sitting there. It was really just a couple of minutes. But when I got connected to that, I stood back up. I went down the hill totally. It was perfectly fine. And after, I really just wanted to have a moment of meditation. I didn't really want to just keep skiing. I wanted to really reflect upon what just happened. So I went and, I went to an area that was quiet, and I sat down and I got some tea, and I started to really think. I said, well, where else in my life am I creating these stories that aren't true? Where else in my life am I worrying about what could go wrong? And where else in my life am I putting anything less than the best thing I possibly can after I am? See, the truth is that we are whatever we decide we want to be. At that moment, I could have decided I am not healthy, I can't do this. But the truth is, I am healthy and I can do this. All of the time, every day, we actually pick how we show up in this world. And the way we do that, and we've talked about I am statements before, is really what we think about ourselves and what we believe about ourselves. Whatever we think we are, whatever we think we're capable of, is what we wind up doing. It's what other people see when they look at us or think of us. They're going to see, they're going to feel energetically. We're going to be projecting whatever it is we think about ourselves. Akina, what do you think of that?
Oh, most definitely. That is a very powerful piece of the I am statement, because you can be any and everything you want to be. I am strong. I am courageous. I am magnificent. I am wonderful. I am heroic. You can be all of these things, whether you choose to believe it or people are telling you that you're not it. You are these things because you are saying I am. And the more that you say them, the more you become it, because you are manifesting it in your mind. And then once you manifest it in your mind, it'll manifest in your spirit. And then all of a sudden, you will be everything that you are saying you are.
Absolutely. When we know that we're made in the image of God, and God is perfect, God is love. And therefore, when we talk about who we are love. We are perfect. We are abundant. We are joyful. We're nurturing. We are happy. We are successful. We are magnificent. All of these things Akina is saying, that's who we truly are authentically. And when we're true to who we are authentically, it means seeing ourselves in this way. Now, we know that we all have our authentic selves and we have our ego selves. Our ego self is that what we create. So for me, and I'm going to be very transparent on this show. When I was in my early 20s, I got myself into a lot of debt, and I still carry, I still occasionally will carry around this label that I'm not good with money, or I'm not capable of creating money, or I'm not capable of maintaining money, or I'm broke. I'm sure I'm not the only person that says that sometimes. I know there's tons of people listening to this right now who are saying, oh, yeah, that's me. Well, here's the thing. If that's what we think about ourselves, if that's how we choose to define ourselves, that's what's going to happen to us. So, and this is a kind of funny story. Another funny story from my trip today. So just about an hour ago, I was calling a friend. I called Akina, actually. It was Akina I was speaking to, and she asked me, how was your trip? And I said, it was really great. I had a lot of fun. And one of the things I said is, I spent a little bit more money than I intended to. I really wasn't intending to spend as much, and I had a great weekend. And I was focusing on that because of my limiting beliefs around money that I still am working on surrendering. And you know what, I'm just sharing this with you and just being open because I know I'm not the only one. And people up to big things. It doesn't matter who you are. Everyone carries these things with us. So, I want you to know, too, If you're carrying this with you, it's okay. I carry things with me. Akina carries things with her. All the successful people do. But it was interesting because, not 10, 15 minutes after I hung up with her and I said this to her, I actually wound up going through a toll booth, and I went to pay the toll, and I needed to pay in cash because, my Easy Pass, for those of you who are on the East Coast, we have an Easy Pass, or I know they call it a Fast Track on the West Coast. It wasn't working, so I had to pay in cash. And when I went to pay in cash, I actually dropped the $20 bill, and it went flying around the highway. Now, I obviously wasn't going to get out of my car and chase down the $20. I started at first I was kind of frustrated, right? I'm thinking, anyone would be frustrated, and they lost the money. And I said, you know what? Who am I being, or what beliefs do I have about myself that attracted that, right? I'm like, I'm going to own this. I'm going to figure out what is it that actually attracted that. Why did I lose the $20? Now, the great part about when you are true to who you are, when you're really thinking about how you're defining yourself, you can completely change your life. When you really get how powerful it is to just own everything in your life, it's phenomenal. You're just going to want to take responsibility for everything. So I said, I'm going to take responsibility for this $20. Not because I dropped it, but because I can learn from this. Because there's other areas in my life, places it's showing up, where I may not be attracting money, or I may be losing money. And for everyone, it may be something different. Maybe you are a person listening to this who says to yourself, I always attract men who are just no good, that they are broke, they're irresponsible, they don't take care of me, they don't take care of the kids, maybe they're cheating. Well, then if that's what you think, that's what you're going to attract. If you're sitting on this call and you're saying, in job, they always take advantage of me in my work, I really put in all the effort, I never get any credit, I never get any reward, well, that's what you're going to attract. That's how people are going to see you. That's how you're showing up. But when you choose to define yourself differently, when you say, you know what, I am a loving woman, I am a capable woman, I am successful, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am sexy. Don't be afraid to call yourself sexy. And I am going to attract a man who's all those things. Well, by just changing your mindset, that's what you're going to attract. So we really want to get that point down tonight. And again, I know we've talked about this before, but really want to hone in to our listeners who call in every week. Really take a good look in the mirror at how you define yourself. And I know in the last call we did, this was last Thursday, on our Empowering Women series, we had Jennifer Lamas on the call. And she talked about this as well, about really looking at who it is that you're defining, how you're showing up in this world. Look in the mirror every day, and this is her advice, and just pick 3 adjectives that describe yourself. And whether or not you realize it, that's how the world sees you. It's based upon those adjectives that you're picking about yourself. Akina, I know that you have done a lot of work with I am statements as well. How can we help our listeners tonight to really start changing the way that they view themselves?
Well, that's a very good question, Jessica. I am statements are very powerful because, you're basically creating the person you want to be. But you also have to have faith in these I am statements. Because if you subconsciously don't have faith in them and don't believe that you are this person, then it's not really going to work because you're not going to attract the energy that you need to make this happen. So a lot of people are saying, oh, my goodness, I'm saying this every day and nothing is changing. But you have to ask yourself, did your mindset change as you start saying these I am statements? Did you open up your mind to let these visions that you're saying to yourself in the mirror be manifest into what is truly going to be? Did you open up a space in your mind pattern to say, okay, this is what we want to do? Okay, this is the opening to the space that's going to make me the person I'm supposed to be. Is this the opening to the space of the person who I am destined to be? If you didn't open the space, there's nowhere for you to transform. There's nowhere for you to move. You have to go into this with the open mind. If you go into it with a closed mind, it's not going to come to pass. So once we start the saying the I am statements, that's the day that you start opening your mind, start changing your mindset, and letting you know that you are capable, willing, and also worth the I am statements that you're making. Does that make sense, Jessica?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and if you are one of those people sitting here tonight looking and saying, you know, I look in the mirror all the time and I say, I'm worthy, I deserve this, you know, I'm beautiful, and maybe you don't think it right now. You know, maybe like Akina says, you don't really have that faith right now. You know, I would encourage you to keep going and keep doing it because, yes, that faith is very, very important, but you're going to build up that faith every single time that you do it. You know, for myself, and I'm going to share this, I wrote 10 things on my mirror when I first decided to start changing my life, when I first got into this, found out that I actually got to create my life, because I didn't even know that 2 years ago. I had no idea I got to create my life. You know, it was fantastic when I found that out. And I learned about these I am statements, and I put the first thing in my mirror, I am beautiful. And when I wrote that, it was so uncomfortable for me because I wasn't told that growing up as a kid. And I am beautiful. Like, if you look at me on Facebook now, I know that I am. But I didn't feel that way. And I looked in the mirror, and I saw myself, and I was reading these words, I'm beautiful, and I just wasn't connected with them. And I felt terrible about it. It felt uneasy. My palms would sweat, my adrenals would be going, I was uncomfortable. It just felt like icky. And then it got to the point where I got upset, and I would read this I am statements, and I would actually cry because I just didn't believe it. And then I would read these I am statements, and I started to laugh because I thought it was so ridiculous that that's not who I am. And I kept going, and I kept going, and I kept going. And it felt like this was never going to work. And it felt like this was silly. But the great thing about it is that our subconscious minds can be changed. See, we're not aware of most of our thoughts. Most of our thoughts happen in our subconscious mind. And there are people out there that tell you could never change that. That you develop your subconscious minds when you're 3 to 5 years old, and they can never be changed. Well, I'm here to tell you they can. Akina and I both believe they can. That's why we call this podcast Changing Minds Online, because we're going to teach you how to change your mindset, because we changed our mindset. I can tell you that I no longer look in the mirror and cry. I no longer look in the mirror and laugh about what I see. I look in the mirror and I believe that I am beautiful because I'm created in the image of God. And now that's what I attract. And that was a change for me. And it didn't happen overnight. See, like Akina said, it's about faith, but it's about building up faith, right? It's the same way when I was on the ski slopes. I built up confidence every time I went down the mountain. You know, it's the same way that if you're an ice skater, you build up confidence every time you ice skate, or if you're a runner. I'm using sports analogies because that's what I know because I'm an athlete, but you build up your confidence. The first time I started a marathon, I had no idea if I was going to finish. I mean, I wanted to finish. I had declared I was going to finish. I'm a person who just really does finish things I start, so I was committed to finishing, but I had no idea whether I was physically capable of it because I wasn't trained. I had just come off of an injury. I shouldn't have even been running according to my doctors yet. But I was like, I'm committed to doing this. And now that I've run multiple marathons, and I've done the distance many times, just officially twice, but I've done the distance many times in a marathon, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind when I sign up for a marathon that I'm going to cross the finish line. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. I've built up my faith. And, with faith, with the size of a mustard seed, we can move mountains. Well, I'm telling you that you can move mountains in your life. You can create absolutely fantastic, beautiful, and wonderful things in your life. And all it really takes is changing what you put after I am. It's actually really that simple. It's very difficult. It's difficult in the sense that you must be persistent, that you must be consistent, in the sense that it's going to feel uncomfortable for a while before it gets comfortable. Eventually, it will get comfortable. That area of discomfort, eventually it just becomes your comfort zone. It becomes part of who you are. But it's hard And it's not, you're not going to get immediate results. It's not going to be that you look in the mirror and you say, I'm beautiful. You wake up tomorrow and you think completely different about yourself. It's not going to be that you look in the mirror and you're saying to yourself, like, I am overweight, and then tomorrow you're going to wake up and you're going to be a size 4. That's not how it works. But by being consistent and being willing, to put in the work to get the results later, we always want that immediate gratification. A lot of people want that immediate gratification. It's not how it works when you reprogram your mind. I mean, we know that the brain, it takes 30 days at minimum to really start changing your beliefs about yourself. So do this consistently for at least 30 days. I always recommend 90 days. But do something consistently, and it will work. I mean, it's science. It's not, this is not a theory. It's not a philosophy. This is like the laws of physics. We know that this is how our brains work now. We are so fortunate and blessed to live in an age where we actually know how our brains work. We have technology to be able to study and test these things. The same way that if you jump off of a roof, you're going to fall on the floor, the same way applies that whatever you think after I am, you're attracting that. Our thoughts can be measured. Our brains can send out these signals. They can be measured through electricity. And we attract people that are at the same frequency. The same way you tune into a radio station, your thoughts tune in. After I am, that's what you're tuning into. So being true to yourself, being true to God, what that actually means is deciding that you deserve to put the best thing after I am. Because you are beautiful, because you are capable, because you are wonderful, because you are abundant, and you are loved. And you know why I know that? Because that's all the things that God is, and you were made in His image. It's not possible for you to be anything less. And if you tell yourself you are, you're not being true to yourself authentically. Kina, is there anything you really want to add to that?
Jessica, that was powerful, and I totally agree. When you learn yourself, you learn about who you are, then the sky is the limit. And that's exactly what you just said. Your knowledge is power, and the knowledge of yourself is included in that. All knowledge is power. And the more you learn about yourself, the more powerful you'll become, the more you'll be able to reach your dreams, and the more you'll be able to expand and grow.
Absolutely. If you listened in tonight, I just want to thank you for allowing us to teach you, to help us. And I hope you saw from this call that Akina and I, we are on this journey with you. I don't have everything figured out, but I can tell you that I've managed to take my life in the last couple of years and just make it so much different and so much better. And I want everybody to experience what I'm experiencing. I am learning. I'm in this process of, for the first time, getting to understand that I actually get to create my life. And I want you to know that you can do it too, because I'm not extraordinary. I'm not, and I don't mean this in the sense, right, that we just talked about saying I am, but what I mean is that it's not different than you. There's nothing I wasn't born with this gift that's different than what you have. I'm just deciding that I actually get to create my life, that I am capable, that I am love, that I am joy, that I am abundance, and I am going out, and I am creating that in the world. And I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart that you can do the same thing. No matter where you are, keep going. No matter where you are, keep trying. No matter how hard it gets, and trust me, there was moments, I've thrown things. I was so upset sometimes on this journey that I threw a glass one time against the wall. I've shared it before in this podcast, and it's okay. I'm going to just be transparent because I'm not the only one who gets frustrated. And I want you to know, if you're getting frustrated and you're like ready to give up, don't do it. Keep going. You are so close. You got this. That's what we want to let you know tonight on this call. You got this. Your life going to change for the better. No matter what it is that you want to change in your life, whether it's your finances, whether or not it's your relationships, whether or not it's your health, you can. And I just want to thank you, really just thank you for letting us be part of that journey. We love you. We always close our call by saying God bless. We love you. Have a great night. I know, Akina, before we hang up, can you just let our listeners know where they can find a copy of this recording, or if they're first-time listeners, where they can get the rest of our podcasts?
Certainly, Jessica. If you were touched by anything that we've said today on this podcast, please find us on iTunes, Podomatic, Stitcher. We're also on SoundCloud and TuneIn. So we would love for you to reach out and let us know that you liked it. Find us on Facebook. Find us on Changing Minds Online. Leave us a comment. We would love to know how these podcasts have touched you and touched your life.
Absolutely. And we always let you know, too, if there's anything you want us to talk about or teach about, please just let us know. These podcasts are for you. You know, we do this because we want you to get what we get. We want you to understand that you can create your life. So please, on that note, reach out to us and let us know what you want us to talk about next week, and we're more than happy to accommodate. But we love you. God bless. Have a wonderful evening, and make it a really powerful week. I can't wait to be with you guys again on our Thursday night Empowering Women series, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Have a great night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.